Good day, everyone, and welcome to Home at the Hollow. My name is Glennis, and welcome to my kitchen. Today's recipe is actually several different components, but oh my goodness, a truly simply homemade strawberry shortcake. And without further ado, on to the recipe. I'm getting ready to measure out my strawberries. I want 2 pounds to go into this food processor. And let's see where we are. Let's see. Okay. I've got here probably about 3 cups. And let's see what comes up to 2 pounds. Let's see. 3 cups is about 1 pound, 1 ounce. Let's just go ahead and, whoops, pour the rest of these. And that's, yeah, roughly almost 3 cups. And that is just 2 pounds, so about 8 cups or a couple of quarts makes 2 pounds. Now these have already been washed and their tops taken off. And I'm going to just kind of, put some of these in here. I don't think that they're all going to fit. But we will get started on this. Get this out of the way. That's a lot of strawberries, guys. And let's see where we are here. And just, come on. Oops, excuse me, guys. Well, I must not have it docked properly. There we go. Excuse the noise, guys. My apologies. It's looking pretty good. I'm gonna see if I can fit the rest of these in here. Whoops. There's always one that wants to get away from me. Yeah, see, and that's kind of what you want to see. I've got 3/4 of a cup of granulated sugar I'm going to add. 3 tablespoons of cornstarch. And to that, I'm going to add 1 cup of boiling water. Even though we're going to kind of simmer this a little bit on the stove top, I want to make sure that this sugar and this cornstarch is very, very well mixed. You probably have a little bit of fun with that. And there we go. So we're going to head over to the stove, and I will see you guys in a minute. I'm done pureeing my strawberry mixture. I've placed this in a suitable saucepan. I've got it on, kind of medium heat, and I'm going to stand here and stir this on medium. I might kick it up a wee bit, and stay with this until we come to a boil. I'm still stirring. I was on medium for, a minute or two, and I quickly realized this is just not going to happen. So I'm on medium-high, set my timer for 5 minutes. I'm still not up to a boil, so I grabbed myself a cup of coffee. And I'm going to just keep stirring. Now, it's going to look like this until you finish cooking this, and we haven't got to the boil point yet. Once you get to the boil point, you want to stand here, of course, stirring while you're boiling for 3 minutes. But it does take a cooling off, time for it to not look cloudy like this. So no worries about that. I did take a taste, a little spoonful, and some of you, especially if you do this, you may say, well, this isn't sweet enough. But this particular mixture, I'm not going to use for a strawberry pie. It's very suitable for spooning over maybe a scoop of ice cream, a slice of cheesecake, something like that. But what I'm going to use it for is for my strawberry stack cake, which was one of my most requested cakes when I was catering way back, way back when. It was everyone's favorite. They loved my strawberry stack cake, and it's so easy. But you don't want this to be too sweet. You might go, that's not sweet enough. I tasted it and I need to add more sugar. Don't do that, because, you are going to have, ice cream, cheesecake, whatever it is that you decide to serve this with. In this case, there's going to be cake, there's going to be some icing, and you want something a little bit tart. And this isn't too tart. Now, don't misunderstand. This isn't too tart, but you don't want everything just sweet, right? And that's why I added just enough sugar in this so so your mouth doesn't pucker up. But I'm going to carry on. I'm almost to a boil, but I'm going to carry on, and I will be back in a moment. And I have just come up to a boil. I think you guys can see. I'm going to set my timer. And I'm going to allow this to boil, stirring. I haven't left it at all. You don't want to leave this, but I'm going to stir this constantly for the next 3 minutes. As you can hear, okay, that's 3 minutes. And, oh yes, this is going to be lovely. The aroma, is so nice. And it's actually, unless my eyes are deceiving me, I believe that it has turned a little bit brighter in color. And that's always nice. And I do have a few reserved to add to this that are not cooked. As you guys can probably see, I have some asparagus here. It's spring, finally, and I love fresh asparagus, fresh strawberries, whatever I can get fresh. But I've turned my heat off. I'm still just very, very lightly boiling. I don't feel like I have to stand here and babysit it. And I really should take it right off the heat. I've just about finished my coffee. And we're doing pretty good. So I'm going to just let this cool off right on here. Now, I don't recommend you guys do that because I'm not familiar with your burners. Certainly if you're cooking with gas, allow this to cool off a little bit. But I'm going to remove mine from my heat. And I did have a wee bit of sorry guys. I've got some vanilla bean paste. I'm going to start off with a quarter of a teaspoon. And if you have just vanilla, a teaspoon of vanilla, but I splurged and I got some vanilla bean paste, and I kind of wanted to try this out. So I'm going to just stir my vanilla through, and I'm going to allow this to continue to cool. And we will get started on those fresh strawberries in a moment. I've allowed this to cool off very slightly. It's still pretty warm, but as you can see, any cloudiness that it had is gone. And the remainder of the strawberries, after I measured out the 2 pounds, I cut into, bite-sized pieces. I'm going to just add these. That's a cup. I've honestly just never have measured a lot of this. So I'm going to just say a cup and 2/3 fresh strawberries. If you want to bump that up, that's okay too. Oops. Get this moved. And there we go. It still looks slightly cloudy, but as it cools, it will become better. But this is going to be so really good. And it smells wonderful. And the great thing about this particular sauce and how you use it, however you decide to use it, is we know everything that's been put into this sauce. And there we go. And I'm going to be back in a little bit. I'm going to allow this to cool off and do a wee bit of a taste test. I have been whipping up 8 ounces of cream cheese, just regular cream cheese. I have cut up 2 sticks or 1 cup of butter to blend into that. And I have let's see how many ounces, an 8 ounce of whipped cream. And I do have some confectioner sugar, and I have to tell you, this is the first time I have ever measured out this particular recipe. So I've always just kind of done and mixed this up to the right consistency, because you don't want it to be too stiff, and you don't want it to be too loose, because it serves a very important job in the cake recipe. So I'm gonna, and I did add about a half a teaspoon of vanilla bean paste, or if you have extract, that's fine too. But I'm gonna just add this, and even though it has sat out and softened up, the weather is still so cool that it's still pretty firm. So I'm going to just basically go ahead and mix in all of this butter. And I want to make absolutely certain this is mixed up with no lumps at all. And we'll measure this together and see where we go. But I'm going to get this, I'm going to let this go. I'm going to speed it up a little bit, of course, but I'm going to let this go. I'm going to set my timer for 5 minutes. So we're about halfway, and I'm going to just let this down and scrape my sides here a little bit. And if you have just vanilla extract, a teaspoon. If you want to do a little more, maybe a teaspoon and a half. But this is about halfway, and it's looking pretty good. After the first cup, I'm hoping that y'all can see, it's actually started to loosen up a little bit, but I did let this beat, gosh, probably, if you have a KitchenAid, probably on a 4 or a 6. That's a pretty healthy whipping. So yeah, definitely about a minute and a half, and that was the first cup. we're going to do another cup. And carry on from there. So this is my third cup. And that's a chunky cup. And what I do typically, if you're not familiar, is I always started on very, very low when after I put some confectioner sugar in it, and I wait until it's incorporated before I turn it up to a 4 or a 6 or an 8 or something like that. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to carry on. I'm not going to bore you guys with adding, but I will always drop the amount and the ingredients below in the description box. But I'm going to carry on and get this going until I add, maybe not all of it, I don't know. Like I said, I have never measured this. It all has to do with the consistency. So I'm going to carry on with this and see you guys in just a little bit. Well, y'all, what I wound up doing is I put in the entire 2 pounds. It was a 2 pound, a 32 ounce bag of confectioner sugar. This is a double batch because I'm going to be doing not only the cake, but another little thing. But this is really, this 1 cup of butter, an 8 ounce container of softened cream cheese, and 2 pounds of confectioner sugar. Wowzers. But I want to loosen this up, but I don't want to add a liquid to it. I'm going to add, and I guess I should probably measure this as well. And you know, there I go again, thinking, oh, I'll just put it in there. But I'm going to just measure this out. So this is a good, healthy cup. And I'm not going to add it all at once because the last thing I want is for this to become too loose. And I'm going to just fold it in the best that I can. And, you know, just get it to that consistency that I feel comfortable working with, because I'm going to be kind of, when I'm making the cake, I'm going to be adding like a, what do you call it? Not a dam, but kind of like a levee. A levee to keep the strawberry puree that I made from dripping all over the sides of the cake. Just kind of fold this in and get this to where I want it to be. Now, if you want to use one of those, you know, tubs of cream cheese icing or, you know, vanilla icing, that's okay too. But I can tell you, this cake is, I didn't win any awards for it because I never entered it into anything, but it was one of those cakes that when I did cater parties or, you know, meetings or things like that, that they always requested. Everyone always wanted this cake. And it's looking a little bit better. Get my sides scraped down pretty good. If you want your arms and shoulders a good workout, ooh, this is it. I'm going to measure another cup. Another messy cup. So that would probably be about 1.5 cups right now. And the last thing you want to do is to mix this with your mixer. I'm trying to keep it. Let's see. It's looking some better. I'm going to go ahead and add this. I feel confident. I feel relatively confident. Whoops. So that's 2 cups out of an 8-ounce container. And I think that's going to be good. I don't want it any looser than this. I've got a container out here. I've already got my strawberry puree in the fridge. And that's one of the secrets to making this cake, is to make sure everything is cold as you can get it. Even the cake, yes, especially the cake. And there we go. I think this is looking really good. So I'm going to say 2 cups, 2 healthy cups of this. And like I said, this is a double recipe. I don't usually make this much, but I don't see why you couldn't, if you doubled it like I did, I don't see why you couldn't, after you use what you need. And I may very well use every bit of this, but and to put it right in the freezer, package it up in a little container and freeze this. And there you go. It doesn't look like a lot, does it? But yeah, that's a good double recipe. So this is going right into the fridge, and I'm going to get started on the cake. I'm preparing my cake. Now, if the cake was the star of the show today, I would be going to a little bit of different way about it, but I've got my pans already ready. Now you can see this one is greased. I haven't bothered to flour it, but as you can see, this is what my little cakes are going to look like. There's a basket weave. There'll be a spot. I think you can see there's a spot for you to put your cream cheese filling and strawberry in, and if you have a little extra whipped topping, and to top it off. And I just think this is so cute. And I've got my cake pans ready. And really, for this particular cake, all I'm using is 4 eggs, 1 cup of cold water, a either yellow or white cake mix. Really, it makes no difference. I'm kind of going by pie crust. Your cake is not the star of the show, but your filling is. And an envelope of Dream Whip. And that's my cake mix today. It's going to be awesome. But I'm going to double it up. I've got 4 more eggs waiting in the wings, but I'm going to double this up and make little individual cakes and make a larger cake for just especially for y'all. I'm going to make sure that my eggs are very well beaten. I've already poured the water in. And I mean, this is pretty much a no-brainer here. Your cake mix and your whipped topping mix. This is this is an old recipe from Dream Whip anyway, from a long time ago, and just mix it up until it's well mixed, and then place it in your containers and bake away. 350 $3.50 for these. Probably, I'm going to check probably about 20-25 minutes, and these will take less. I'm going to maybe check them at 20. I'm going to have to see how they start to bake and brown up. I don't use this very often, so there you go. As you can see, this has beaten up really pretty. It took like all of 2 or 3 minutes. How really pretty is that? I guess, you know, I've never tried it, but if you use like a white cake mix like I have, probably if you use egg whites, it'll maybe retain maybe a little bit more of the white. I can't advise you of that, but maybe. I'm using half a cup to see how this is going to work in these particular, because I don't want these to over bake. So probably, I'm not even using a half a cup, so I'm going to say I'm using roughly 1/3 of a cup in this. I mean, I could just fill it up and let them bake over, and I'd hate to have to cut them to get them flat to set properly. So 1/4 of a cup, 1/3 of a cup if you have a pan like this. And of course, you guys know, just divide it up. If you want a 2-layer cake or a 3-layer cake, just divide it up accordingly. These have already been greased with some shortening. And my purpose of getting this done ahead of time, like the strawberry filling and the cream cheese, you know, frosting filling, is to make sure everything is chilled, because as soon as this comes out of the oven, as soon as it's cool enough, I'm going to put it on some parchment paper, and I'm going to have this as chilled as possible before I start assembling. I've taken all of my cakes out of their pans, and this is the little shortcake. As you can see, it came out just really very, very pretty. And excuse my hands, but oops, it did not over bake, you know, and overflow to where I had to cut it. So about 1/3 of a cup, half a cup, something like that. And I will do my very best to leave a link to where you might be able to find these pans, but you can just vaguely see the basket weave pattern in this. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and get started on one. Of course, I'm going to do the rest, and I'm definitely going to do the cake. I'm just going to put a little bit of icing, some of my cream cheese, and I think you guys can see. And a wee bit of strawberry in here. Now, if you're going to serve these straight away, it's perfectly okay to do the strawberry first and then top it, but I want these to sit a little while. And there we go. Oh my goodness, that looks delicious. Someone is going to just love this, and I'm going to get started on the cake. So here we are, and does this ever look just so delicious? Yum. I'm going to take a taste of this. I know it seems kind of daunting. Oh, it looks really decadent. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. That's a little bit bigger of a bite than I intended. Very good. I'm not going to, excuse the expression, sugar-coated. This is very, very good. And I have my coffee here. This is one of those recipes that, you know, if you're having family, friends, coworkers, or whoever over at dinner, or even kids, some of your kids and friends, sleepovers, whatever the occasion is. This is one of those recipes, and I know it seems daunting and there's several different components to it, but it's one of those you can make ahead of time, which I always appreciate, because I personally, I don't want to be in the kitchen, doing this and this while everyone else is out having fun or doing whatever it is that they're doing, and I don't want to be stuck in the kitchen. So these are components you can put right in your fridge or freezer even, and have this ready and say, oh, it was no big deal. Or, oh, I slaved over it. Whatever your story is, whatever works for you, you do you. But I hope that you all give this a try. It is delicious. Delicious. I want to thank each and every one of you for all your support. And if you've just happened upon my channel, and if you have liked this recipe, I hope you check out the other recipes too, because I'm only going to bring you guys what I know is delicious. Delicious, delicious. So I hope you subscribe. Give me a thumbs up and leave me a comment. Your feedback is always, always greatly appreciated. And subscribe to my channel. Thank you for joining me here, home at the Hollow. Goodbye, y'all.